And welcome to Friday Live. It's Thursday Live, but on Friday. So thank you all for hanging out. Yesterday was a great day. We moved Marge's daughter, oldest daughter, Lachlan, into OSU. She starts as a freshman there this year, which is super exciting. So we got her into her dorm. OSU is in Columbus, Ohio, so it's about 2.5 hours from here, which was fun. We rented a U-Haul trailer and put all her stuff in there and drove her down, and it's great. So if you're a college football fan, OSU is Ohio State University. He has a reasonably good football team. So that was very interesting. Oh, let me go turn down this volume on the screensaver on the computer. I'll be right back, so we don't have to listen to the mad scientific world going on over there. Be right back. Yeah, fortunately it's right next to the painting area. What am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. It's crazy. All right, let's see what we got. Hello everyone. I can see comments over here. I'm going to switch them over to here so I can see them for real. But hello everyone. Thank you for coming in today instead of yesterday. What do I want to do here? Let me jump here so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. There we are. Okay, good. So my computer's back, which is fantastic. So I blew up, at the beginning of the week, I ended up blowing up the video board in it, which I've had the computer for a long time. I kind of overbought it when I bought it, so it's lasted quite a while, and it still works great. It does everything it needed to do, so all the photo editing and all the Photoshop and all that fun stuff I do on that computer. So when the board went on it, I was like, well, you know, it's still worth it to have just that fixed instead of get a new computer. So I got it back, but now it's doing things like screensaver, which I didn't have it set up to do before. So that's what was going on there. So, all right, let's look at some stuff. I don't have very much for show and tell. I posted the Impala painting, which I'll show you in a second, which is the second painting in this series. So I'll show you that for real live. And yeah, and then what we're going to do today is I'm just about finished up with the 57 Chevy. I saved the end of that so that we could do that here. There's some minor things, but they have a big impact on the painting, so I thought that would be fun. So that's what I got. All right, let me say hello to everyone. We'll switch things around and we will get rocking. There we go. All right, so yes. So as I switch things around, this is the Impala painting. So this I did... a painting like this takes about 10 hours, anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. So because I did this all on my own, what I decided to do for everyone is I'm going to release a time-lapse video of this wheel. So I did the entire time-lapse of me painting the wheel. So I'm gonna edit that now that I got my computer back, and I'll put that on YouTube so you guys can see it. But this is how this came out. So the same thing. This painting is the primary color in this painting is Createx Opaque Pyrrole Red, which is kind of the theme of this series of paintings, and they're all different kinds of cars. So that is how that came out, and it's on a 3" by 4" piece of ampersand board, which I cut down myself. They don't have a 3x4 panel, so if you have a really, a good table saw with a really fine tooth blade, this stuff cuts like a dream. So that is how that one came out. I was really happy. That one's all done. I got the frame coming in for that. Oh, there is everyone. All right, let me say hello real quick before I get too far out. Lewis, what's happening? Ryan, Mr. Shees, what's going? Yeah, Gary, it's like night and day between the beginning of the week and the end of the week. The beginning of the week, my computer blew up. Everything was going sideways. It was crazy. But at the end of the week, we managed to pull everything back together, and we're doing good. Mr. Timothy John Luke Smith. Tim, I started watching the feed. I was so wiped out, I literally fell asleep with the phone on my chest. So I said hello to everyone, and then I woke up hours later, and I'm like, what happened? So sorry about that. I will catch the rest of that, your feed. Sinead is coming out great. Who else we got? Michael McClung, what's happening? Thomas Thompson, what's going on? Adrian, hello. Ryan, I think I said hello to you, but hello if I did not. Mr. Adams, what's going on, buddy? Look at you guys. Awesome. All right. So this is what we'll be working on today. We are almost there. I put the license plate on this. This is a 57 Pennsylvania. I was going to say PA, which is the same thing, but Pennsylvania plate. And what we're going to do today is there's still the details left, like on the rest of the seam line for the trunk lid. The highlights in this back area still need to be done, and I need to kind of finish up this highlight too, as well as the chevron and that kind of thing. So it's nice. It's a lot of the really, final details. One other quick note too, you notice a difference between, all right, so this right here, this red right here is probably straight out of the bottle Pyrrole red. It's got a fade on the top and it's got a fade on the bottom. But you see the difference in the depth of the color. This one seems a little bit more grayed out, I guess. So when you clear these, this has the UVLS satin on it. See that nice finish on it? So when you use a satin on it, it acts like a varnish on the painting. So once I'm done with the Chevy, I'll spray this with the UVLS satin, and it'll have that same brilliant red look. It's really kind of neat the way that it works. So in case you were wondering why one looked a little different than another. The other thing I need your help with, and I will throw this out there now, and you guys can just type in the comments. I'm going to do all 6 of these paintings, and it's just a matter of which ones I do in what order. It doesn't matter to me. I got to do them all anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you guys pick the next painting. So there are 4 left to do. There's the Bugatti, the old Bugatti racer, which is, this car was amazing. So you can type in Bugatti for that one. Obviously the Corvette, the 70s Corvette. This car will not be yellow when I paint it. It'll be this red, the same Pyrrole red. So I have a picture of my buddy Mark's car, which is amazing. This thing is brilliant yellow and should be painted this way, but I'm going to change the color on it to red. The Ferrari, so it's either Corvette, Ferrari, which is a 430, and then the last one is the GTR. Same thing with this one. This is a beautiful metallic kind of rainbow sparkle black, and I've painted this car before, but this time I'm going to make this car again red like the other ones. So you have GTR, Ferrari, Corvette, and Bugatti. So those are the 4 left. If you guys want to type in what I should do next, you will help me out, and then I'll get that started on the next round. Enzo, what's up, buddy? Here we go. Yay! You guys are awesome. How was move-in day? Moving mine into Susquehanna in PA. Oh, that's awesome, Enzo. Yeah, OSU is a gigantic school. The student population this year is a record high. It's about, I think they had like 50,000 kids. It's insane how big it is. So as a result, they have an amazing move-in. You'd think it would be completely mayhem, and it is mayhem, but it's controlled mayhem. They have done this so many times, and with so many kids, they really get the system down. So we had a really easy time getting in and out of there. It was good. All right, good. There we go. Suggestions coming in already. All right, so this morning, right now, I am going to cheers with all my UK friends because, like I said, it was a good day. I did all my running around already, so I can have a liquid lunch with you guys. So, well, we get this going. All right, so for liquid lunch, I'm going to stick with Rheingeist, which is amazing, Cincinnati made, and I'm going to go with Truth because the truth hurts. All right. So the 57 is already spoken for, so that is not available, unfortunately, for the people who would like that one. But all 5 others are available, essentially. So if you're interested in any one of them, even if they're not done yet, you guys can send me a message, and we can. If you, like I said, if you're in love with it and have to have it, I usually don't reserve paintings before they're done, but these are going to be so kind of out in the open that, and especially if it's someone I know now from the interactions online, I will certainly, we can work it out that you could have that painting before it's even done. All right, so cheers to that. I'm only buying one, so it doesn't matter which one. Nice. Yeah, that's good. Gary likes to get the first one, so that's good. All right. What can I say about this? Nothing. We're just gonna knock it out. All right. So what I got to do? There's a couple things, like I said, that need to happen with this. And it doesn't, at this point now, we're down to the very end of it. So before, it matters what's what, what goes on first, what goes on last. At this stage of the game, we're so close, it doesn't really matter. There is a little red dot there that probably was splashed up by something. So we're going to start by removing that. And I know this has UVLS on it, so I can use the knife really gently and just kind of keep, I want to say scratching, but it's really not. I'm really just lightly moving the blade over the surface, and that just, kind of removes anything that's weird. There's another one down here, but I don't think that wasn't even attached. This one is, though. Get rid of that one too, and we're good. All right, what I think I'm going to do is I'll knock out the airbrush stuff first, and that way we don't have to worry about it. So the airbrush stuff is really simple. This highlight here in the back lid, this is much more yellow. It's much more of a sunset yellow. So I'm going to hit that real quick, and then we can start with the excuse me, the seam lines and things like that. Corvette tricky, yeah. Adrian, the Corvette's going to be fun because it was obviously taken outside. I'll show you that real quick before I get into this. So it's taken outside. It's got a lot of the reflections of these trees in the hood and everything. I'm going to simplify all that because the background's going to be a lot like Gary's, or all of them really, where it's like this simple fade. So if I have that really simple fade, like the showroom fade I call it, it's not going to make sense to see all the tree reflections in it. So I'm going to simplify all these. So I did do a Corvette, the convertible. It's actually on the header page of my YouTube channel, and that's got all the crazy tree reflections, which I love doing, but it takes a long time. All right, so let's get that in first. So what we're going to do, what are we going to do? We're going to get a little bit of yellow, and it's just going to be a little bit of yellow ochre. I got to just kind of shift it over. I was using illustration colors yesterday with a student. Wicked illustration colors are different animals. Yeah, they're completely different, Tim. I mean, I've said it before, the only time I really move into the illustration line is if there's a color there that isn't available in the regular line. But I haven't used any illustration colors in a while. And keep in mind, Tim, the Tim Gore colors, the Bloodline and the Lifeline colors, those are basically illustration paint too. So you can interchange all those. Tim Gore's got a bunch of great, real like complex colors, which are a lot of fun. So if you do use the illustration and find you like them, it opens up a whole entire different palette with those colors. Aw, Tim, thank you. You're the best. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, Gary, I'm not 100% sure what year Mark's car is. But you're definitely right there. What do I need? I need yellow ochre, right? Yeah. All right, so I literally need like a teeny weeny little bit to do this. It's just going to take, I'll show you the picture real quick. See that, just that golden color on that highlight? I don't have it here. It's more of a blue on mine. So I really need to just tint that so it has that orange kind of sunsetty feel. Put that up there. All right. So golden yellow will do it. No one needs golden yellow? Sure. I don't have the palette camera set up. So what do I do? What do I have set up? Not that one. This one. Oh, it's still me. Hey, everyone. All right, so we may just leave that. I don't know. I could set up the palette cam, but I want to get going on this. All right, so I'll leave you guys looking at my ugly mug. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 1 to 5 mix, so it's 1 part paint to 5 parts reducer. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat too. That's not what I want. Yes, thank you, Tim. That's amazing. You guys. And I've said it pretty much all year because that's what we're doing. The growth for me this year is from all the online stuff. Facebook and YouTube and all that fun jazz. So your support there is just monumental. It means a lot. It's really what lets me go on and expand from, all this stuff. All right, so I got, I ended up using yellow ochre in that. So I'm gonna just kind of roll this in. And I'm gonna be real careful not to spread this too far out. Like, I don't want this on the red too much. It's really, really, really transparent because there's a lot of that 40-50 in this in the reducer. So if I do get some on the red, I have to put a lot on the red to get it to shift. But again, actually, this is really, really not enough at all. Oh, there it is right there. It's kind of juicy. Well, give it a shot anyway. So if I get some of the yellow on the red, it's not going to make too much of a difference. But if I keep hammering it, it's going to turn the red really orange around it. So we don't want that. Oh, thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. I forgot. There we go. Yes. Yeah, Gary, if someone really wants one of the 6 or the 5 that are left, that's a great point. Because I'm not going to get them done. I mean, well, I might get one more done before the sale ends. Especially if it's like the Ferrari would be a quick one to do because there aren't as many reflections in it. But if someone wants one of the 5 that are left, and again, you have your heart set on one of those, you just let me know, and I'll even honor the sale price on those. So you get 10% off the normal price or what those are going to go for regularly. And what I did with the price on those 6 are also discounted because they're in a series, and I knew I was able to pick them. So when I'm able to do a series like that and I'm in control of how fast and when I do them and all that stuff, it just lets me knock a little bit of the money off because I do get to kind of slip them in where I can. And again, being able to control them, I know that they're going to take roughly about 10 to 12 hours. So that, that really helps me set the price. Where sometimes when I have a commission, it needs to be done right away. Is the way I like to do them anyway. And the other thing too is there isn't always a time thing. It's like someone wants a painting and they want it done the way they want it done. So that also kind of comes into play with the commission prices. All right, so there we go. So we got a little bit of that orange on there. I like that. It kind of flooded a little bit right next to the highlight, but that's okay because I'm going to put a bright, this. So it has a really bright kind of glowing highlight there from the sun, the actual sun. So that's going to cover that there's going to be a glow on that you won't see all that junk. All right, so that's, I think, all with the yellow. I don't think I need it anywhere else. Maybe a little tiny touch up in here. I don't want to go crazy up here. This is kind of like the inverse of the reflection, so there's a little bit of a yellow cast up there, but I like that cool blue up at the top, so that's good. Is that all the airbrushing I got to do on this? Except for the starburst, but the real hot spots, so we'll save those for the end. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get the comments over here, so I'll swing over here. Phil, what's up, buddy? Mike, have a good one. I appreciate you jumping by. That's awesome. The other thing too is now, so if you haven't figured it out, Gary Shees is the owner of this painting. He grabbed this one, and Gary is a framer that's amazing. So Gary's going to take this painting unframed, and then he's going to do his thing on it. It's going to be nuts. However, the other 5, well, 6 really, but the other 5 all have identical frames. Again, they're part of a series, and I'll show you those. I'm waiting for the first one to come in. It's supposed to come in either today or tomorrow, and they're custom made and all that fun stuff. So they're small. They're only an inch bigger on the inside than the painting. So these paintings are 3x4, so it's 4x5 inside, and then the actual frame is 6x7. It's a matte black, and then the backdrop will be this kind of pebbly material, like a black pebbly, almost like a bed liner type of feel. And that's how all 6 will be, or all 5 will be. Gary's going to do something special on this one. So yeah, so those come framed if you're interested in those as well. It's like a floater frame, no glass or anything. These are on ampersand, and then they're cleared, so they don't need glass on them. You can certainly frame them with glass, like I do with the aluminum ones, because those don't need to be framed, with glass either. But I do those special hardwood frames with glass too. So, all right. Let's do. We are going to use some airbrush. So let's look at this. The trunk lid here. See this line right here? So there's a cool way that I kind of get that drawn in so it's exactly where it needs to be. It runs down the side here a little bit too. I've got a little bit of an indication right there. So basically what I do is I cut out a little, well, you'll see. Let's just do it. Oh, I saw that. Rick Lotta, what are you doing, man? That's awesome. Thank you so much. Tabs, thanks. That's awesome. If I missed anyone, Rick, that's great. Thank you, sir. That's amazing. All right, grab this because I need this. I'll put this here. Yeah, thank you guys so much for the super chats and all that fun stuff. No, I don't want this one. So what I do need is I need a darker copy. So I made these copies in 2 different exposures. And I think I talked about this on Monday. So I make them in 2 different exposures. This one here is a lighter exposure, and then can't really see it, but that one's like the darker one. So they just give me different information. So when I'm working on the wheels and stuff, by like, having this as a lighter exposure, I can see a little bit better of the things that are going on there. And then when you have the areas that are really lightly exposed, when I darken it, I can see a lot of those details better too. So that's the idea behind that. So I need a darker one so I can see that line. I don't know how many of those dark ones I have left. I used a ton of copies on this. There was just a lot of copies used on this one. Oh, this one worked. Is this darker or lighter? It's lighter, but I can still see it. Okay. The same thing with the Impala. The Impala, I used a ton of copies on that as well. And it was funny because I thought the Impala one was not going to take a lot of copies. I thought it was going to be a pretty straight ahead painting. It was. I mean, there was no surprises with it, but it was more involved than I thought it was going to be, which was fun. And out of the 6, it was my least favorite when I set it up. I'm like, this one's going to be okay, but it's not, it's not going to be like the others. Now it's one of my favorite ones in the series. I just love the way it came out. It just looks like candy, All right, excellent. So here we go. So there's my seam line. I've already got the bottom part done right here. So I don't have to, I don't have to do that, but it's this part up here, the top of the trunk lid, that I really want to get on there perfect. This one over here, I've pretty much got that already laid out, so I don't really need that. But I do want this bottom corner here too. So what I do is I end up taking my knife and I just cut out the line. I don't have to cut out, obviously I don't have to do, a thick cut. It just has to be a cut that will follow that line. Now what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to cut out the corner of this because if I do, when I go to spray this, it'll flop up and you'll see it won't be a nice clean line right there. It'll actually just be, it'll just be the corner, and I don't want that. Same thing down here. This one I can cut the corner because I'm only doing the corner. I'm not kind of rolling it all the way over. So by that time I'll be into the part I've already painted right there. So hopefully you get that. All right. And if you're wondering, so you never get to see me do this because usually this is the palette cam. Whenever I look over here, I'm actually looking at the monitors, so I make sure I'm still on camera. So if I'm looking over there, that's why I'm doing that. All right. Move this back down so you can see what I'm doing. I think that's all right, right? Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, okay. All right, so what I'm going to use is black because I want to be able to see this line. And you'll see when I paint it, it'll be a really, really faint, thin line. And all it's going to do is, again, I use these copies like a drawing guide. So this is just going to show me where that trunk lid is perfectly without having to screw around with it. So I'm lining it up on this back fin and, somewhere over here, like on the, this body panel here. So that way I know I'm in the right spot. And I use the jumbo magnet, which is over here. Good. Put that up there. And then I need black. Good. Okay. Black, 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 black. So I'll use the 1-to-1 mix. It's probably as heavy as I go with airbrushing. You can't see it because it's underneath all that. But it's 1 part paint to 1 part reducer, 40-11. You don't need 40-50 with the opaque black. You can use it, but you don't need it. So this gives me a really, well, when it comes out, it gives me a really opaque, thick, heavy, not thick, but really opaque, nice black. And it works through the smaller detail brushes that I have. If I had a bigger brush, if I was like using the Eclipse CS or a brush like that, oops, too much, I wouldn't have to reduce it as much. I do like 2 parts paint to 1 part reducer, or 3 parts or 4 parts paint. It all depends on the brush. My paper towel here. What else did I miss? Nothing. You guys are going. Okay. Blacken the brush. So now what I want to do is I want to spray directly on that cutout. But here's the deal with this. So we talk about this all the time. When using like a stencil like this, if I put this on, part of my painting and I'm going to spray, if I spray against the edge of that template like this, there's a really good chance that template is going to come up. And you can hear it squealing like that. So the air is getting underneath the thing and pushing it up. So whenever you're using a template, if I want a really sharp edge on it, I always try to spray with the edge, so off the template like this, right? The same thing with this line right here. If I spray this at an angle like this, it's going to open up that little cut that I made, and it's going to spray, and it's going to be really soft on one side of this line. So I really have to be conscious of being directly perpendicular to that cut all the way around. And that'll give me a really, basically you'll see it, it'll be like a pen line, which is neat. I also have to make sure I really do my best to hold down the template because I really don't want that thing coming up. So what I might do is, I'll just use my fingers this time, it should be okay. So just go really light, just go straight down on that line. And I use really light layers, same thing here. Even though that's a really tiny line and I could just, blast the paint on there, I'm going in a bunch of light layers so that I make sure that I don't get any airbrush paints creeping underneath. Wet paint anyway. Run that across. I don't have to go all the way across because the top of that seam gets lost in the reflections. Okay, so that's that. And now this guy down here. Same thing. Try to keep it as perpendicular to that as possible. And then before I move this, before I take the magnet off, I can move the magnet as long as I don't move the paper. I just want to see if it worked. So I pull that up, and it did, but I didn't get the top part up here. So I'm going to hit that again. This is why I leave the magnet on. There's no way I can realign that. There's no way. I mean, I could try, but it's never worked for me. Because even if it's off like a tiny, tiny bit, you'll see it as a double line. So really try to be careful not to, shift the paper or do anything like that until I know that it's okay. This one, the top line isn't as, this line up here isn't as crucial because it actually follows the rear window. But it's nice to have it. And then I have that bottom one in, right? Yeah, I probably have enough of it. Yeah, I got enough of it. And I'll show you what it gives me. Here. And I'll look over here, say hello. Phil! Any pointers with the 40-50? I've been adding it to my illustration colors. However, it tends to cause some clogging. I've reduced 40-50 1-to-1. Yeah, so the illustration line wasn't designed to have the 40-50 in it. It's a different binder, which is fine. You can certainly use 40-50. What a 40-50 will do is essentially turn it into the Wicked line. It'll replace that reworkable binder into a binder that isn't gonna, you'd have a harder time manipulating. The other thing too is the illustration, from what I remember, I hope I'm correct on this, but the illustration pigments are ground finer than the Wicked line. The detail line is ground finer than the Wicked line, but I think the illustration line is ground finer even than the detail. So that's the big difference there. So if you're having trouble with that, just reduce the amount of 40/50 you're putting in, because the 40/50 is very thick by nature, real heavy. So while it does a great job at making the paint more transparent, it can also really thicken it up and run into that problem you're kind of running into. So I have my kind of go-to reduction mix is one part 40/50 to 10 parts reducer, and that works really well to kind of smooth out the paint, but also allow a ton of reduction. I also have it in 1:5, which I do use a lot too. And one I don't use a lot, but I have, is 1:20. 1:20 is essentially just reducer. I mean, it's got one part 40/50 to 20 parts reducer, so there's really not a lot of 40/50 in there at all. So I thought it would be a good idea, and it's really just like I said, it's like using reducer. It doesn't do much. One thing I don't have is a 1:1 mix for 40/50 to reducer. Again, because all my brushes are real tiny, so that would just make a real thick paint for my brushes. So try that. Try, adding, just upping the reducer amount. Keep in mind, you don't need any 40/50 with the line, any of the lines. You can just reduce with the reducer. But I find the 40/50 just helps to smooth things out, makes it a little bit more transparent, but also, like I said, just smooths it out, makes it a little bit more manageable. So there are some colors like the black and the white, the new opaque line, but there are some colors that I don't use a 40/50 with at all. It's just how it works. All right, so here's what I get when I pull that off. But see how, I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see it. So what it gives you, what just happened there? Oh, tack. All right, let's get this in. So what it gives you is this micro small line. See it right there? And that's awesome. That's awesome because it sets up the painting so that I know exactly where that line is when I go to paint it. I don't have to guess. I don't have to use, any more photocopies. It's just a really cool trick. And I do that a lot. I'll leave this still focused in so you can get a feel for it. I could do that too. That would, it's still kind of weird, but whatever. Okay. There we go. Yeah, definitely, Philip, try that and let me know what you think. All right, so, that isn't going to work. What do I want to do here? Do I want to? Well, I wonder if I could get I don't think, do we need the palette cam? Yeah, I'm not going to do the palette cam. I was going to do the palette cam, so I'm going to use some brushes and stuff, but I have to set up all the parameters in the switcher, and I don't want to waste the time. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take black, straight up opaque black. Steve, do you feel the micro line technique would work for acetate? Yeah, definitely would. Yep. In fact, I'm not going to take the time to find it now, but yeah, I have a couple templates that I use a lot that I've put just a cut in. What's neat about that is you can try one with an X-Acto. The problem with using acetate is that when you cut that, sometimes the acetate will immediately relax back and close that cut up because the plastic wants to go back to where it was. Paper doesn't really do that. It kind of, you put a seam in it, it cuts it and pushes it away. So what you may want to do is either cut that a few times. The other thing, run the cut a couple times through it, and then what you do is you flip it over and get some sandpaper, like some 1,000 or 800 grit sandpaper, and sand the other side of it. What it'll do is the cut has like kind of a point to it like this. You're going to sand off the top of that point, and it's going to leave that micro fine gap, and that'll allow you to use it that way. So that works really, really well. And then it's a reusable template now too. So I do it a lot on grills when I have to do a lot of lines, cross-hatching lines. It's just so nice to be able to just do the cut, spray it, and then they're all in the right place. All right, so actually I said black, but I'm going to use a little bit of Blumber here because it blends really well with the red. Black would be like super in your face, but the brown in here is going to just kind of offset. It's going to allow that red to show through a little bit. So now all I do is just kind of follow the line that I airbrushed in. And remember, I didn't do the corner so it wouldn't expand, but kind of finishing up that corner is easy because I know where I'm going with it because I can see the line and I know what the radius roughly should look like, and that's it. So, and again, this top line where the top of the trunk lid is here, it basically follows the window. So even though it didn't really come through, I know where to go from here. And then of course it disappears into this nice highlight. So that's it. So that's so much easier than trying to draw it in and have it not be in the right spot or erase it or whatever. It's just so nice to be able to put in a super thin line like that. All right. Oh, good. Yeah, Tim. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, it works really well. All right, same thing down in here. So the bottom, what do I do here? Okay. All right. Bottom, same deal here. So it looks like it fades around here. So it loops right about here and then goes up into that area there. And you can't see that because it's off the camera, sorry. All right, so the top of this thing, this line will then continue up to, that's where I got to get to, roughly, right there. So, but it kind of fades out a little bit too because of the angle. So I'm just going to kind of lightly pull the brush off as I come around. It probably was a little bit too spotty, but I can fix that. Right here. There we go. Lost it a little bit. Paint dried out in the brush. That's better. Okay, good. You can't see the seam on the top of the deck lid here, so I'm going to leave that the way that is. Okay, so now the fun part of this. So that's great. I'm going to zoom you out a little bit. That's a little bit too close for you. Make sure we get this focused. Lovely. All right. Now the fun part. So what really sets this off is, see that the highlight on the body side of this seam, and also along here, and there's a couple down in here too. These little highlights that are on that edge that rolls over. So those really make the painting. That's what we're doing in this episode today. And now that I've got the line of that trunk seam, now I can just kind of put in the highlights. So I'm going to do that with a little bit of yellow. Running out of room here on this palette because I've been using it too much. So the highlights in this are kind of an orangey, kind of a pale yellow with a little bit of an orange cast to them. Yeah. So the first one is this one, which is on this side. This has a lot of white in it too, so this will blue shift because of the way that the color, the light travels through the white. So if it isn't bright enough, like it looked bright enough on my palette, but if that wasn't bright enough, I just go over it again. I'll do it here because it is a little bit, not dull, but it's not as bright as it needs to be. Lost my comments there. There we go. So the other way to kind of get this to work faster is to add more white to it. But that will also take away from that golden yellow color, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just be patient with it and go over it a couple times. And yeah. So the sun was coming from this side over here, so it's not going to follow the whole seam. It's just in that corner where it caught the light. Bobby Silva, what's up, buddy? Happy, what is it, Thursday, Friday? Oh, look at that, I got paint on there. That's not good. It's not bad, but it's also not good. Okay. Okay, so next one is the down here at the bottom of this corner. Same thing, so it's really the corners that are picking up the light. And this is it. This is just like that frosting on the cake stuff. You get into this and you're like, yeah, I want to do this everywhere on the painting. Like, and it's like the more you do it, the more plastic the painting looks, and it just looks fake, and it's lame. Even though it's totally like frosting, you want to put it everywhere. It's really these little tiny little spots that catch the light that really make it work. And I am going to add a little bit more white to this because it just seems to not pop the way I need it to. Much better. There we go. Who else gets it? Oh, I know what gets it. This side over here. I need to change the parchment on this wet palette too. I've literally ripped through it in a couple spots, which is not good. All right, so this one has the same deal going on here, and it starts about here. And then curls up, but then it immediately stops because the shadow from this tail light, or from the tail fin, kind of blocks it off, the sun from getting there. So it's just that bottom corner like that. What else we got? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, there's a little one right in here, which is what this is, this reflection. This is where you just paint what you see, but if you know what's causing it, that helps too. So this little reflection right here is the sun reflecting off of the edge of this fin. So it's hitting this fin and then bouncing back. That's why it only pops up right here. What else we got? A little bit at the top of that too. But again, I don't want to overdo this. I don't want to go too crazy. Just want to kind of do what's really there. So if I were to totally outline this whole thing with this yellow, it would just look fake. It wouldn't, wouldn't look the way it's supposed to look. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm good with that. And that. So I think that's our deck lid. Okay, good. What else we got? The logo. The chevron and the Chevrolet. Oh, you know what? We might not actually finish this. We'll see how it goes. So the Chevy, it says Chevrolet right here above the chevron. That's airbrush stuff. So we'll see what we got here. The chevron itself is a really pale blue. It's white on one side and pale blue on the other. This I could cut out with and spray with the airbrush, but it's small enough that I can get this really nice and even with a paintbrush as well. So I'm just going to drop it in with the paintbrush. The advantage there is there's no chance I'll get any white overspray, right? Because I'm using a paintbrush to do this. If I cut this out and then sprayed it, I'd have to really be careful not to get any white overspray underneath, because it would immediately, fog up on the red, and just it wouldn't look good. So doing with the paintbrush, as long as I can get it even, works really, really well. So there's the white side. The white side is being hit by the sun directly. The other side is the reflection is the blue in the sky. So I'm just going to take that same white, add a little bit of daylight blue to it, and go to town. Oh, knocking the camera on. If you guys have any questions, just yell them out. Let me know. Make sure you guys can see it. Okay. Yeah, so the other part of the chevron is this blue. So this I'm going to have to go over it a couple times because, again, there's a lot of red overspray on this part of it from just working on the body. So I'm going to have to go over this a few times to get it to catch up. When I first put it on, it's going to be really dark because you can see a lot of the red through it. But as I kind of build it up, it'll become that electric blue that it needs to be. The very top of this is like blown out by that reflection of the sun. So I don't even have to worry really getting up there on the top of it. It's just really the bottom section here that I gotta kind of clean up and make sure it's right. Oh, that's unfortunate. There's a teeny weeny little hair right there that dragged the paint into the red. Oh well, we'll fix that. Lee Jordan, what's up, buddy? So let me fix that little mishap. Super easy. Just grab some of the straight up red. Since again, the red is opaque, so that makes it really easy to do repairs and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna clear this one here first, since I saw that one too. And roll this upside down and fix this one here. There we go. Awesome. And then this little bit over here, this is a little micro repair right here. So there was a little bit of white paint that somehow got on here. Looks like it's dried paint or something. So I got most of it off, but I couldn't get those last little bits off. So it's really easy to just erase them with the red. And I did that with the Impala too. I do it with all paintings because sometimes there's a little chunk, say there's a little, I don't know, like a little spot of something in the primer. It's way down and deep in the surface. And then I happen to hit this thing with my finger. It'll just shave the red off and go back down to the primer. So then you just have to repaint that little spot. So it does happen a lot, especially if the paintings are handled a lot as well. I know you've said it many times, refresh my memory. What is the brand of paintbrush you use? Thanks, Philip. It is there it is. Winsor & Newton Series 7 sable brush. So it's a red sable brush. It's actually a watercolor brush from Winsor & Newton. And any size is good. The size I end up using a lot is this 00, the double aught. I really like that a lot. It rhymes too. It's Friday, I'm sorry. So there you go. So that's my go-to brush. But I have them in all different sizes. I do use different sizes. This is my venerable old number 1 that I had to put tape on because a ferrule pops off like that. So they do last a long time, as this one proves. And then like I said, I have them in all different sizes. Here's a 0. So depending on what I'm using it on, that's kind of how it works. All right, so there's our chevron on the top. Now, actually, I did that repair and I didn't even need to. And I'll show you why. Because the other side of that chevron has that blumbery red color. It's the underside of this, which would have taken care of the repair on this white side really easily. So it just starts at the point. You guys on the camera, kind of, sort of. There we go. And while I did that, I know the paintbrush dried out. I know it. I know it. All right. Try that again. One of the big challenges I say have because I still have it, I have a really sketchy kind of drawing style. Like like if I'm doing a line, I'll do several lines and then the one that's the right one is the one that stays. You can't do that when you're pulling a line with a paintbrush like this because it makes it really crazy and kind of not, it just makes a mess. So it's hard. It's been a hard challenge for me to be able to do it. See what I'm doing now? I'm just kind of like, getting it ready by doing this. I got to not do that as I get going with the line because it makes multiple lines and that's not what we want. So just got to line it up, get where you're supposed to go, and then just really do it in one shot. Much better. Good. So there's our chevron. So the logo. I'm going to skip the logo for now, only because if we have time, I'll get into it. But what it's going to involve is I have to cut out a white template. See how most of it is white? So I'll cut out a white template. So again, just like the line, I'll cut out the bits and pieces so that I know where I'm going with this. I'm not going to cut out each individual letter. That's not how it works. You just kind of give yourself little, markers to to go off of. And once that's in, then I'll put the black highlights in on the shadowed side, and then that'll be done. But it's going to take time to do that, so I'd rather do some of the fun stuff. Like we're going to keep going with some of these highlights. See these great highlights? We're going to keep going with those. So if I can get all those done, that'd be good. We're really close. So let me start with this reflection here. This reflection obviously is the tail light reflecting in the trunk lid. So that's got just the same yellow, this yellow highlight. Again, subtle is the key. There's two little dots. And then a little bit of an extended line coming off both sides of that. Same thing with this guy. And what it is this, it's the actual sun reflecting off of the tail light and then reflecting in the trunk lid. And that's it. Now there's a long thin reflection right here. I'll show it to you. Right here. This I'm going to take out. I'm not going to put this in. This is probably a reflection of a guardrail behind or another car. It doesn't do much for the story. Like that stuff right there does a lot for the story of this painting. Same thing with these guys in here, but this one doesn't. It doesn't really, it doesn't do much. So I'm going to take it out. It's better to simplify when you can with stuff like that. All right, so for this in the fin, there's some great reflections. Again, this could be this is the reflection of the tail through the deck lid onto the fin. So a couple of those, and that's good up there. I've already got those up there, so that's all done. Those are done. That's done. Yeah, I mean, really just at the logo. So let's do the logo, if you guys are into it. Because if we get the logo done, the very last thing is to just get the airbrush and put out those really bright, oh, yeah, let me get that in first so I can just do that. Okay, so the sun is hitting here, but it's also hitting up here, right? So there are some highlights up here that are really, really bright. So I'm going to put the dots in there for those now, and then I'll grab them with the airbrush after. Like that. Some on the corner, but I already got those, so those are good. I think that's it. Yeah, looks good. Also, this fender bolt isn't bright enough. There we go. All right, so let's do the logo. This will be fun. So, yeah, okay. What else do we have for camera options? Oh, we have this one too. Will this work? I have this. I could do this camera. Well, that doesn't give you much, really. Yeah, it doesn't give you much as far as anything. I don't know. Whatever. All right. Logo time. So the Chevy logo. So I'll show you what to do here. So this one, here's a good example of why I'd have two different templates. This is the higher exposure one. You can't even see the letters in Chevrolet right there. They're just all washed out. So what I do is I'll grab one of the darker ones. And if I even need other exposures, I just go to Photoshop and, take the copy that the image that I made and just, run it off as a darker exposure. Oh, it's just a nice way to do it, and it gives you a lot more information. Yeah, here's the pile for the Impala. There's a ton of templates for that one too. But it's the same thing with the Impala. So the Impala has two different exposures. So this one here is a really light one. Shows me any of the dark details that might be there, and then this is the more the accurate, kind of copy there. All right, so this one is already cut up, but that's okay because this is the area I need right in here. I may need to get a new blade for this, so that's okay for my knife, because this is some teeny weeny cutting. So now you can see the letters a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm concentrating on the white because that's the bigger portion of this. I could cut out the black, but it's a lot more difficult because the black is just the shadow on the side of the little letters. So it'd be a lot harder to cut all those little shapes out. So basically what I'm looking for is I want to be able to tell where each one of the letters is. Because I know it says Chevrolet. I know that's, that's easy. But I want to make sure I get those letters in the right spot. So it doesn't matter. Like I don't actually, like the O I just cut out. But a lot of them, all I got to do is do a little tick mark so I know where they are. Like the V, I'll just kind of put a little tick. The other, there we go. Actually, it was the E that I cut out before. This is the O. The L, the other E, and then the T. So what I'm left with, I'll flip this over. That's what I got. You see that? It's just really designed to kind of help me figure out what stuff is. So here's another good way to kind of, so if I spray through that, it may not come all the way through. So another good way to kind of help yourself out if you have, a really tiny template like this, just go on the other side of it and just kind of open it up a little bit with the knife blade. Just kind of wiggle the knife gently in each one of those cuts, and it kind of opens it up a little bit. Now, obviously, all I'm doing is looking for a marker here. This isn't a real, precision thing. It doesn't have to be exactly right. You couldn't do this if you're, cutting out something real precision and you go and wiggle the knife blade around in there and it changes the cut. But this is essentially just a series of dots. Okay. Now, do I have white in something? Probably not. No, there's black in that one. There's yellow in that one. All right then. Well, we're gonna have to put white in something anyway because I'm gonna need it for the highlights. All right, so just gonna line this up first, get the magnet on it, and then I'll switch it out. Let's take this one. This is the Micron C, so that's the one I use a lot of times for any detailed white painting. I have my spray out bucket down there. So for the spray out bucket, and I've talked about this before, the spray out bucket, I just get a regular bucket and put a bunch of paper. So there it could be, starts out with paper towel, but as I'm like getting rid of photocopies and things like that, I'll throw the paper in there as well. Anything absorbent really. So that way when I have like, like washout stuff, I can just spray into that. For the most part, if I'm working, a good day, like a 10 to 12 hour day, that gets pretty soggy in there. But on a regular day, if it's 6 to 8 hours of airbrushing, that's not a whole lot of material. And then what happens is it just dries out. It just has, because it's kind of on all the paper and paper towels, it just has time to kind of just, dry into the air, and then it's ready to go the next day. In the worst case scenario, when I go to empty it, it's in a bag as well, so there's a plastic bag and then all the paper. You just tie off the bag and throw it away. It's wet paper, so it's not a big deal, and it's good for the environment. I'm not flushing stuff down the sink or anything like that. I used to have just a regular bucket that I would put them outside and let them dry out. But I find the bigger bucket is nice because it works really well for that kind of stuff. So there we go. All right, so that's clean. So we got white in here, which I need to mix up again. Okay. Because I'm almost out of white. All right, so with the white, it's same thing with this brush. With the Micron, it's 1:1, 1 part opaque white to 1 part reducer, 4011. Same deal here. So I want to kind of hit those letters, but I don't want to flood it because it'll make a mess. But I still want that paint to go through there. You guys see what I'm doing? Yeah. Should be good. We may. Yeah, we might. Yeah, we might. All right, hold on. Yay! So there you go. So see it? Ah! So now I know where all the letters are supposed to be. All right, so what I was laughing at just a second ago is I got the white in there, so I might as well just do the hot spots now. I like this part because it's a lot of fun. And, you know, there's not enough of this in airbrushing. So with the white, I'm just going to start with the sun, since that's the biggest, baddest, brightest highlight in this painting. So start real small right in the center, and then just kind of let it do its thing. Again, I don't want to go too crazy because it's like candy. All right, so same thing here. Anywhere where that would happen, like down on the reverse lights, same thing, those little brightest highlights get a little bit of a flare on them. This one has one over here. Like that. This one has one. Again, I want to put it on every single one of these little bright highlights, but you can't because it looks like ass when you do. These definitely have it up here. I'm telling you, this is one of those things as an airbrusher that's really, really like fun to do. It's very satisfying because, you know, it immediately looks like it's glowing no matter what it is. So if you need to get this out of your system, do like a galaxy or star field, because then you can glow all of them. You can just spend your time making them all glow, but don't do it on your actual painting because, again, too much is usually too much. All right, so one more right on the tip of this fin, and that's good. Again, I want to put them down on the wheel, but I can't because they're not there, so I got to stop. All right, that's good. So let's get the rest of the letters in. Sorry I'm late, replacing my shocks. Not fun. Dan, that's fun. Not really, but you know, it's good that you replace your shocks. One of my favorite, you guys know I've been spending a lot of time on YouTube. Both hopefully, you know, as a successful creator, but also I watch a lot of videos. So one of my favorite, if you're into horrifying car mechanic stories, look up Just Rolled In, the channel Just Rolled In. Nice short 10, you know, like 8-10 minute videos, but it's just video after video of these mechanics who post up these horrifying cars that are brought in with these terrible things. So if you think you don't take care of your car, watch Just Rolled In because it'll make you feel much better, because there are people out there, oh boy, do some crazy stuff. All right, so I have white here. This is white in the brush now. So move this more towards the center so you can see it. Now all I do is connect the dots. So I have the C there, which is a little bit chunky. I can fix that in a second. Actually, it's not really that bad at all. I take that back. So the C moves into the H, which is here, which moves into the E, which is here. See what I mean? Like I have the little tick marks there now. So I know where I'm going. I'm not guessing. If I guessed, usually when I guess like this, it'll be a lot shorter than it should be because I'm compacting everything, especially on this scale. But because I have it kind of laid out now, I'm good to go. All right, so that's the E. And then the connector. Ooh, that's drying out. We are going to finish this today. This is exciting. All right, H and then the E and then the O. L is straight up and down. And then as we get closer to the little sunburst, it gets harder to see the letters because they are also glowing. But that's the T right there. So that's my set of chrome letters. So next thing I got to do, again, you can see why you're doing the black first would be a nightmare, because then I'd have to line up the white with it. But now I could just drop the shadows in where they need to be. That's why I wasn't worried about the C, because it's just going to be all right. I can carve that white with the black that I just started. It's mostly on this side. So same thing with this. These little letters. We all know it says Chevrolet, right? And it's tiny. Like there's my thumb, so it's super tiny, those letters. But still, our brain is yelling Chevrolet and spelling it out and all this stuff. So that the trap with that is to literally spell out all the letters, even though you can't see that in the copy. I cut up the copy so you can't really see it, but it's really painting what you see rather than you know what you know is there, especially with letters. And I see that a lot. Like you get this really cool, you know, realistic painting, and then the letters always look fake because you get locked in on that, and then just paint them, you know, and then you wouldn't really be able to see them the same way. So that being said, actually now you can see a little bit of a. I thought the shadow was getting blown out at the end of the word, but it's not. You can still see the shadow on the E and the T. There we go. That's better. Maybe the middle of the E. Oh, and the center of the lock too. I painted the lock earlier, but I didn't do the part where the key goes in. There we go. And that, my friends, I'm going to switch you over or move you out a little bit. I'll turn this off so you don't have to deal with that. Like that. I'm going to tilt this because it needs to be tilted. Let me focus it in first. Get you guys a little closer. Focus, focus, focus. Focus, pocus. That's awesome, Tabs. I do that too when I watch people paint. I'll like find myself holding my breath. Did you use Chevrolet in the glove box? I did. I think I did. It's more indicated, Gary. It's there, but it's not like letters. It's right. There's Chevrolet goes right across there. The glove box one in this car, it doesn't. There's nothing on there. It looks like it says Chevrolet right there, next to it. No, there. Maybe. But again, this is a great example. Paint what you see. Don't, you know, if I start making stuff up, it's gonna look, you know, it's not gonna look right. All right, so here we go. Let me move the lights out to the front a little bit. And then what I do to check these, I'll take the magnet like this. I'll put the magnet behind, and then I'll grab a couple other magnets just to hold it from sliding. So now what I've done is I've tilted it forward a little bit. And that way the light isn't directly on it. And it gives you a much better feel for the actual colors and all that fun stuff. But this one, my friends, is done. Thanks, Gary. Thank you, Tim. So yeah, so things like this little thing right here makes my day. This reflection here of the taillight in the trunk lid, that makes my day. I love when stuff like that happens in a photograph in a car, because it's super subtle. You'd never even notice it unless you were looking for it, but it tells the story. It gives that, it is what makes the car look glossy. You know what I mean? Like the Ferrari painting is going to be tough, but it's also a departure. The Ferrari painting has nothing in it, no reflections at all. So really the star of this painting is the wheel and the Ferrari logo. And but that's going to be like, you know, you want to put reflections in it, and you know, I don't know, it's just weird. So anyway, that's that. So this from here what happens is I'll do 4 coats of UVLS satin on it. This stuff here, which is the same thing as a UVLS gloss that I've been adding to all the paint, but this just has a satin additive to it, and that's what gives it its depth. And it also, where is it again? I put it over here somewhere. Here it is. So not only does it give it its depth, like it'll bring out all that red, but it also gives the whole painting uniformity. See how it's almost, you can't even see the paintbrush strokes and the airbrush? It just evens it all out too. Which is beautiful. I really love the way that, you know, that kind of pulls together. Thanks, Neb. Lee, thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, so Gary, I will get this out on Monday for you. That'll give the clear plenty of time to really set up. It takes about 24 hours for the UVLS. When you use it like a clear coat on top, I like to give it 24 hours to really cure, to really like lock in. It's amazing how different it is after 24 hours. 24 hours, if I put 4 coats on this, I could sand the UVLS lightly on the top. So say I put the 4th coat on and there was a little nib of something, like a dust or whatever. If I let that sit for 24 hours, I can really lightly go over it, hit it one more time with a clear, and it'll be absolutely mint. You can sand it the same day, but I don't know, it just sands so much nicer the next day. So when I prime these, it's the same deal. I give them 24 hours before I finish prepping them. It just works out so well. Good. All right, Gary, that's great. Yeah, so I'll probably get it out on Monday, latest on Tuesday. But I don't see why this shouldn't go out on Monday. But yeah, that's how it came out. So this is the very first one in the series. I don't know what I'm going to call the series yet. Excuse me. You don't necessarily have to have a title for a series, but I think it's just going to be known as the Pyrol series because it's the red is really the binding theme throughout this line of paintings. It's that red color that really is, they're all cars, they're all the same size, but it's the red that really I think is the star of this. Another cool thing too, like Gary's has this. This is if you hadn't noticed, it's a silver outline around it, pinstripe. See how it like moves in and out? So this is the Createx Chrome paint, a Quicksilver Chrome. I was going to use it on all of the paintings. However, the Impala painting told me it didn't need it. There's no way to put it on here. So this one won't have it. The other one that won't have it is the Ferrari. So the Ferrari painting won't have the stripe on it either. So those two won't. The Corvette will because it can do the same thing it did on the Chevy. The Bugatti definitely will because it'll go right around the corner. Actually, the GTR won't have it either. So 3 paintings will have the stripe on it, 3 paintings won't. So that's that. There you go. I'm going to switch this to this. I'm going to move this. So what I'm going to do for the remainder of the day is clear this painting. And I have a couple things I need to frame up to get out again on Monday. So that's kind of how I'm going to end this Friday. It has been a whirlwind week. So for you guys who offered your moral support at the beginning of the week, thank you. I needed it. Everything was sideways. It was crazy. But the week settled out very nicely. And I can't think of a better way than to hang out with you guys and finish this painting. So it's a nice feeling to finish a painting. It's even nicer when I get to hang out with you guys and get that done. The other thing I'm going to do this weekend is I'm going to put the time lapse up of the Impala painting. You'll be able to see the whole progression from where I posted it as a rough. It's just kind of blocked in. I then time lapse the entire wheel so you can see all that chrome kind of coming together in one shot. So I'll put together that video and get that up next week as well. And the only other thing that's coming up that's big is Patreon. That's the final component for this whole online thing. You guys have been amazingly supportive across the board. So the Patreon aspect of it allows those people that really like to just kind of set it and forget it. It gives them that option. They'll give you guys a sneak preview of what it's going to be. It's going to be a flat, just one tier, one membership instead of like a million memberships levels. And then you get a discount code for the website. You also get access to an exclusive Patreon video that'll appear on YouTube. I think it's going to be on YouTube. I think that's how it works. But only the Patreon members will be able to see it. It's going to be another open studio. So you'll be able to watch a completely different painting than everyone else. You get to all the other stuff, but then you get this one separate. So there'll be that. And then I'm also working on setting up a Discord channel. I think that's going to be the third part of the tier. So once a month we'll get together and we'll have like maybe a live Q&A on Discord, which is fun. If you haven't used Discord, it's really fun. It's really easy. It's like, Zoom or whatever, but just voices. So it's like a one big giant call. It's a lot of fun. So I think that's the way that's going to go. So look for that, in the next few weeks while I really kind of button that up. And that's what we got. That's what's going on. It's exciting. It's fun. You guys have been amazingly supportive, and I can't thank you enough. And that's what I got. So happy Thursday, Friday. Thanks for coming in today. And that's what I got. So take care. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be good to one another. And come back Monday. We'll do it again. All right. Talk to you later, guys. Have a good one.